Let's now talk about the management and the treatment of the patients with multiple myeloma. As it is a multifaceted disease, it has a lot of varied presentations. So it is not easy to tackle these patients. It is not easy to treat these patients and make them symptom free completely. So, if we have a patient which has been newly diagnosed with multiple myeloma, the first thing which we have to look for is the CRAB criteria. What is the CRAB criteria? CRAB is an mnemonic for the various clinical features of this syndrome. C stands for the hypercalcemia, R stands for the renal abnormalities, A stands for anemia, and B stands for the bone pains or the bony abnormalities. Or it can also stand for the bacterial infections if you want to remember. So if the patient has a positive CRAB criteria, or we have to look at the CRAB criteria on its own. If the patient has none of the features of the CRAB or none of the features of all of these symptoms, then we have to watch and wait. The patient is asymptomatic generally, and we don't have to intervene much. And then we have to just follow the patient over a period of time to look for that whether the patient develops any signs or symptoms or the patient is basically maintained on without any symptoms. If the CRAB criteria is positive, if the patient has any one of these symptoms or a combination of these symptoms, then we have to look at whether the patient has a symptomatic bony lesion, either a symptomatic osseous or an extra-osseous lesion. If there is a symptomatic lesion, a localized lesion, then that can be a solitary plasmacytoma. And then we can consider radiotherapy or surgical treatment to get rid of that localized lesion. Because it is a localized process, so it is easy to intervene with the help of radiotherapy. If there is no localized problem and the symptomatology is involving the whole body or the symptoms, then we have to go through the systemic treatment or the systematic treatment. In that case, we have to basically look at the various factors. We have to assess the comorbids of the patient, the age, the patient's preference in the treatment. Now, if the patient is young and healthy and there are no other comorbids and we have found a suitable donor and the patient is eligible for transplant, then transplant can be curative in these patients, especially if the bone stem cell transplant, if we have found a good donor, it can be a curative treatment. So if the patient is transplant eligible and the patient wants to undergo transplant therapy, then before undergoing the stem cell transplant, we have to initially put the patient on certain immunomodulators to basically get rid of the already present plasma cell, already present neoplastic plasma cell. In that we have the two regimes, either a 3-drug regime or a 2-drug regime. In both of these regimes, we have one type of a steroid or like a dexamethasone, which is combined with an immunomodulator or a cytotoxic drug. Like in the case of 2-drug regimes, the important cytotoxic drugs being the lenalidomide or the bortezomib. These are the various types of immunomodulators, antibody modulators that are helpful in ameliorating the signs and symptoms of multiple myeloma. They work at the level of the plasma cell and eventually help us in controlling a lot of signs and symptoms. So in the 3-drug regime, we can also add, along with the bortezomib and dexamethasone, we can add cyclophosphamide, doxorubicin, lenalidomide or thalidomide. Thalidomide, as you know, it was used and it became famous because of its teratogenic effect in the ladies. The females who have used thalidomide have led to the development of flipper or the phocomelia. The kids which were born to the females that were using thalidomide for any abnormality, they had flipper limbs or they had phocomelia. So this is one classical sign symptom of thalidomide that we have to remember. Bortezomib is another drug, and it has been found that to have herpes deactivation in a certain patient population who have been using bortezomib. So these drugs are not because of not free of their own side effects in these, and the patient is already immunocompromised. These can be very dangerous, but we have to assess the risk-benefit ratio in this patient. So in these transplant-eligible candidates, we first prep the patient with these regimes, and then when the patient has got rid of the major chunk of the neoplastic cells, then we can proceed on with the stem cell transplantation. On the other hand, if we have a transplant in eligible patient, or the patient does not want to undergo transplant, or he has certain comorbids that does not allow a transplant to take place, in that patient we have a 3-drug regime, majorly composed of another steroid, the prednisone. Along with that, we can add bortezomib or melphalan. Melphalan is another chemotherapeutic agent used for any of other diseases as well. We can also use thalidomide in these patients along with prednisone or melphalan. And then we consider the maintenance therapy. we have to maintain the patient on this 3-drug regime if and either combination helps the patient. Or we can switch the patient to a 2-drug regime patient in which along with the dexamethasone or a prednisone, we add a cytotoxic or a chemotherapeutic agent like bortezomib, lenalidomide, melphalan, bendamustine, or thalidomide or any other combination. So basically what we have to use is use a steroid with a chemotherapeutic agent. The chemotherapeutic agent can be an immunomodulator, it can be a cytotoxic drug, and then we have to manage the side effects of the drugs, and we have to assess the risk-benefit ratio, and then whichever combination suits the patient, we have to maintain the patient on that combination and to remain the patient induced or to maintain that maintenance therapy and they make the patient symptom free. Along with that, we have to look at the various symptomatology, treat the anemia, the other types of pain with the help of various types of painkillers that helps the patient but does not let the patient abuse the drug. So the symptomatic treatment goes hand in hand along with this chemotherapeutic maintenance therapy. So this was all about the major outline of how we are going to treat or manage a patient with multiple myeloma. Now, with the help of this, we come to the end of our lecture on multiple myeloma and at the end of our lecture on plasma cell disorders. In the first part, in the first lecture, we talked about the basics of the plasma cell disorder, certain rare variants of the plasma cell disorders, and then in this lecture, we have talked about in great details the multiple myeloma, its classical signs and symptoms, its pathogenesis, etiology, and the various types of treatment modalities that we have. I hope you have learned something new from these lectures, and I'll see you in another lecture. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.